Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala, amma ba'd. So we continue with the Khawarij series, and my apologies for having to make the class today after Isha. I had an exam on at Maghrib time, so we had to delay a little bit. SubhanAllah, today I attended a janazah, and it was two people that I knew. Both people, they died and they were buried today, SubhanAllah. And I was flipping back and forth. Should I just cancel the lesson? Or do we just try and push it back a little bit and still continue it? And after, SubhanAllah, when I was there at the burial, I said, khalas, we'll continue, In Sha Allah. Why? Because of two main reasons. Number one is when we study the Khawarij, this is a part a lot of brothers actually neglect, and a lot of sisters neglect, that what we are doing is we are correcting our Aqidah. What we are doing is we are correcting our Aqidah. And when I was asked about, from some of the brothers about the questioning in the grave, and we reminded that the questioning of the grave, even though they are simple questions, who is your Lord? What is your religion? Who is the Prophet that was sent to you? It is theoretically are very, very, very simple answers. Allah is my Lord, Islam is my religion, Muhammad was the man that was sent to me. But it's not a theoretic question. Meaning you don't answer it theoretically. It's a practical question. Who is your Lord? Meaning, did you live by Allah is my Lord? That's when you'll be able to answer Allah is my Lord. Islam is my religion. It's not a theoretic question, meaning as long as you've memorized it, you can answer the angels correctly. Did you live by Islam is my religion? That's when you can answer correctly, when you live practically. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is my messenger, is my prophet, is the man that I follow regarding the matters of my religion. It's not just a memorized answer that you regurgitate. Rather, you have to live by it. And what a lot of people neglect is when you come and you learn about the Khawarij or any other people from the people of innovation, you're learning what they are, who they are, where they went wrong, so that you can correct it, so that you can implement Islam properly, beginning first and foremost of your belief. So that made me say, no, this is something that is important and it shouldn't be given up easily. The second, subhanAllah, again, when we were talking about the grave, obviously always gets mentioned, the only thing you take to your grave are your actions. These are the only things that you take to your grave. And I thought, subhanAllah, once a person is buried in there, what would we prefer? Would we prefer that a person goes to the grave having cancelled the lesson, or just delay until Isha time, and inshallah Azza wa Jal come and give it, even if there's a dot of hardship in it? Which of the two are you going to benefit from? Which of the two are you going to be happy about? Which of the two would you regret? So, alhamdulillah, we said, khalas, just delay it until Isha. The answer became quite easy after that. The ones that couldn't make it, I apologize. The ones that could make it and didn't make it, this is what separates the boys from the men. Now, the ones that could have made it, but didn't, because he wants to sit and watch a TV show with his wife, or he wants to lay on his phone, or it's a little bit late, What do your cousins do at this time? What do you think they do? Allahu Alam. The ones that couldn't make it, they have an excuse. The ones that could make it, again, inshallah Azza wa Jal, they can catch up. But this should be something in our minds, that if a person is able to make it, never let it go. Never let it go. We continue with the traits of the Khawarij, and we'll finish their main traits today, inshallah Azza wa Jal. We mentioned last week that from the traits is that they are usually young in age, and in general, they are younger in age, they are stupid in their understandings, they have a lot of extremism in their acts, and they overdo things, they take things to extreme, and not only in their understanding, but even in their acts of worship, etc., and how they are in general life. They have a wrong understanding of how a person should be away from the dunya, etc. And we said, unfortunately, this was the trait of the older ones. As for the ones nowadays, you find that they lack this trait. Their trait is unfortunately a lot of the opposite, where they have no deen at all. We have no deen at all, even the acts of worship, etc. It's almost non-existent, illa ma rahima rabbi. And we mentioned also their blind following of their desires, and them thinking that they are 100% right. They're blind following of their desires, and them thinking that they're 100% right. Just to touch up on this point before we continue, again, very important for us to remember, the Khawarij do not think that they're wrong. It's very different, the Khawarij are very different from other groups. Welcome to Regent's Park for those that are listening online. It's very different from other groups. As the ulama say, the Khawarij are the most sincere and the most fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Doesn't make them right. But these are the ones who, out of all the people of innovation, generally speaking, these are the ones that think they're on the haqq 100%. Everyone else, their way is confusing. Their bid'ah is confusing. Yani if you go, for example, to the Shia, the Rafidah, yani it's very hard for you to take seriously what they say. Even their own followers. Sometimes their Shaykh will be speaking, the own Shaykh doesn't believe what he's saying. Yeah, you get to the Sufiya, the things that they do and the twists and the flips that they have to go through. The mental loop jumping that they need to go through in order to come to some sort of conclusion to the people, to make the innovation that they do acceptable. Very hard. Very hard. If you go to like a lot of the modernists and the progressives, as the ones that like to call themselves modernists and intellectuals and progressives, the ones that try and change their religion to suit that which fits into today's day and age, even they don't accept what they are on. They know that they're just trying to justify the haram that they do. As for fear of Allah Azza wa Jal, you don't find it in them. You don't find it in them. So when it comes to the Khawarij, you look at them and they believe what they are upon. They believe what they are upon. And generally speaking, they implement it. Yani they think that they're doing right by their prayers, by their Quran, by their attending the masajid, by them giving da'wah, etc. They think that they are correct. With the point that we want to take from it, number one, is that when you as an individual ever do with them, don't think that the person doesn't think he's on the truth. He thinks that he's on the truth. What you need to do is make clear the truth to him. You need to make clear the truth to him. And then if it doesn't work, khalas. Jazakumullah khairan. You have your way and I have my way. Number two is very important. Do not think that just because you think that you are right, it makes you right. Do not be a person that just because you think that you are right, automatically you are right. No. Being correct is according to the Quran and the Sunnah as understood by the Salaf of this Ummah. The Quran and the Sunnah as understood by the Salaf of this Ummah. And if you have a problem in understanding or knowing what that way is, then go back to the works of the ulama. The big ulama, go back to their works. As for you to assume that you are correct based on your understanding, and you allow that assumption to become conviction, then this does not make you right in and of itself. It has to be right according to the Quran and the Sunnah. The fifth trait of the Khawarij, and this is the first one that comes with us tonight, is that they think bad of others. They have su'a dhan bil akharin. They think bad of others. This is very, 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 very common in the Khawarij, and it's a trait that you see very prevalent today, where they can't think that anyone has a good intention or that anyone done anything right. Anyone that takes one step in the right direction, they find a million excuses to smash that person and bring him down again. Ahl Sunnah, the ulama say, نحن أعلم الناس بالرب وأرحم الناس بالخلق. And we mentioned this a lot in the Aqidah of the Salaf series. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we are the most knowledgeable of people when it comes to Allah, and we are the most merciful of people when it comes to dealing with others, the creation of Allah. Even if we differ from them, even if we differ with them, there is still mercy towards them. We can have our differences between us and Ahlul Bid'ah. Us and the people of innovation, doesn't matter who they are, but we are just. We are just with them. How are you just? For example, if you go through the history of Islam, how many of the ulama in the history of Islam, or the mujahideen, or whatever it may be Asha'ira, or Maturidiyya, or maybe have a mayalan, not full rawafid, but they have a leaning towards tashayyu'. Some of them might be even mu'tazila, like extreme Ahl al-Bid'ah. But still, when we speak about them, we are just. If they do something good, we say they've done something good. We disagree with this particular point, but they've done something good. If they presented something good for Islam, like a particular book, particular tafsir, particular shuruh of a hadith, whatever it may be, we say Jazakumullah khair and done something good. Nowadays, if a group does something good, mashallah, maybe they're producing hundreds of hafadh of Quran a day. Hundreds of hafadh of Quran a year. We say that what they are doing is good. If, for example, people are giving da'wah in a certain way, and we may disagree with the manhaj as a whole in general we may disagree with, but they have aspects where they are producing good, or they are doing good, or they are putting amazing effort in. We will praise that particular trait. We'll make dua for them, etc. When it comes to those that we differ with, there are levels. There are people who are close to us, where the differences between us and them are only small. We treat them as such. And there are those where the differences between us and them are big. They're extreme. We treat them as such. And there are those in the middle. They're not very close, but they're also not very far. So Ahlul Sunnah, we are fair and we are just in our dealings with others. We are not like the Jews and Christians. The Jews and Christians, Allah tells us in the Quran, the Jews will say about the Christians, the Christians aren't upon any goodness. And the Christians will say about the Jews, the Jews, they're upon nothing. Yani, these ones are upon nothing, these ones are upon nothing. Some of the ulama said that from the traits of the kuffar is that when you do with others, you act as if they are upon no goodness or no truth whatsoever. Ahlul Sunnah, no. Someone does something good, we can admit that there's something good. When it comes to people's actions, very important. When it comes to people's actions, we hold them on the best of meanings. If someone done something or someone said something, and I can interpret that, I can interpret it to mean something very bad, or I can interpret it to mean something good. We as Ahlul Sunnah interpret it to mean something good. We make excuses for a person. Some people, ayadhan billah, straight away, again from the traits of the Khawarij, straight away, what he meant was bad. Kafir. Someone done something good, he's got a hidden agenda behind it. Something for personal gain. He's doing it for money, he's doing it for popularity, he's doing it for status, etc. Someone does something good, instead of testifying to the good that they're doing and appreciating and encouraging more of that good, they try and smash it. He's doing it, but what's the benefit when you're doing all of this bad? A person needs to, as the Arabs say, لِكُلِّ مَقَامٍ مَقَالٍ. For every time and place, there's a particular way to go about it. It's a particular statement to say. A person needs to know how to manage, and this is where wisdom comes in, and this is what they don't have from the original traits. A person needs to know how to manage your differences with someone. Sometimes you smash them, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you befriend them, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you stand with them, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you encourage them, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you warn against them, sometimes you don't. Sometimes if a person's with them, you told him to leave them, sometimes you don't. A person needs to know how to manage. And who is that left up to? This is left up to the ones with more knowledge, more wisdom, more insight, more understanding on da'wah, its goals and how to achieve it, etc. So they think bad of others. This is from one of their main traits. And this was something common that we've seen over and over when it comes to them dealing with Ali radiallahu anhu. Also, when it comes to them and their debate with, not their debate, their support of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma. So when you had the tahkim, you had Ali radiallahu anhu and you had Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. And they sent people. From the side of Ali radiallahu anhu was Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma. And the Khawarij were from amongst the group that was sent with them. There was 400 people, so they were part of that group. The messenger would go between, the person going between Ali and Abdullah ibn Abbas, he would go from Ali radiallahu anhu to Abdullah ibn Abbas. Because they didn't know exactly what the messenger was saying, automatically they assumed that he was saying something bad. Automatically they assumed that they were saying something bad and something that was wrong. And Abdullah ibn Abbas is telling him, don't you see other people going to the other side? The messenger comes, no one knows anything, and there's no problem. A messenger, he's a leader, for example. You have a leader, and he sends a message with a messenger to a particular person. Why do you all need to know? Why do you all need to know? What does it have to do with you? As we say in Lebanese, what's it got to do with you? But this is their problem. We don't know what was happening, automatically they assume that. And this is, again, another trait from the traits of these people, which is very prevalent today. Why isn't this sheikh say anything? Why is this organization doing anything? Why aren't they doing anything? Why doesn't that person speak out? Why doesn't that person go and do X, Y, Z? If it's not according to what they want and how they want it, and they don't have full knowledge of it, automatically they assume the worst. Ya akhi, have husn al-dhan. Have husn al-dhan. Think good of others, especially the ladies in the community. Think good of them. Think that they are doing something. And if you're at an extent where you say to yourself, why aren't they doing anything? Or, what you should say, maybe they are doing something, but I don't know. Go have a conversation with them. Go have a conversation with them. Go and sit down and ask them what is happening. One person that I spoke to, and again, if I'm not going to say he's complete Khawarij, which I would not say, definitely traits of the Khawarij. From beginning with Jahl and going all the way down. One of his problems, when he finally wanted to have a conversation about what certain people and certain organizations are doing, when I explained to him, he was like shocked. And he's like, subhanAllah, I didn't know. Okay, no problem. Your issue is that for years you've been speaking against them. For years you've been speaking against them. You never bothered to ask once. All you had to do was ask, what are they doing, or what's happening, or why they take a particular action, or why in public they're doing certain things, etc., 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 and you have your answer. And there'll be no issue. But there are people who are hasty. Unfortunately, and when you think bad and you're hasty, you act upon that thinking bad, and it leads to masa'ib. Allah musta'an. One of the things that they would do to show you the bad that they would think of others, let's say someone wanted to join them. There are some narrations in the books mentioned in the ulama that speak about the Khawarij. One of the things that they would do is, if they had an enemy, they would make that person capture one of the enemies of theirs, and then take him as a prisoner of war, and then that person would have to kill them. This is how you prove, or one of the ways that you would prove your allegiance to them and that you're truthful. And if a person refused to do it, then they would say that he's not sincere, he's actually a munafiq, and they would kill him. Allah understand. Again, the testing of people in tests that Allah Azza wa Jalla did not authorize, but they would do that in a way because of them thinking bad about others, and this is from their pride and their ignorance. Number 6, their harshness towards and the killing of their opponents. How harsh they are in dealing with their opponents, and them not having a problem killing them. And this is why we said in the past few weeks, why the Khawarij are from the most dangerous of Ahlul Bid'ah. They're from the most dangerous of Ahlul Bid'ah because of their practical effect on the people. Some of the, again, those who have leanings towards the Khawarij, they'll use some statements of the ulama that will say the Murji'ah are worse than the Khawarij. The Murji'ah are worse than the Khawarij. Who are the Murji'ah? The ones that say Iman is only in the heart. As long as you believe this is enough. What's a consequence of that? There's no actions. So what's going to happen in society? A lot of haram gets spread. Zina, alcohol, gambling, a person being disrespectful to his parents, dealing with riba, etc. As long as you have Iman in your heart, no problem. These are Murji'ah. These are ones that came as direct opposition to the Khawarij. So for every extreme, you have another extreme. The extreme of the Khawarij is, or are, the Murji'ah. So some of the ulama, when they speak, again, a theoretical question, who is worse, the Khawarij or the Murji'ah? Some will say, in this particular sense of who is worse in terms of actions, who leads the people to more haram, it's the Murji'ah. It's the Murji'ah. Why? Because when a person's a Murji'ah, khalas, no deen. There's no salah, like we said, there's no salah, no seeking knowledge, no da'wah, no hijab. Do whatever you want. And you look at many of the Muslim societies today, because irja was spread through it, people that will live very far away from Allah, they're like, oh, but I believe in Allah in my heart. Okay, this belief is not enough. Person needs action. So in that sense, for a person's individual deen, in that sense, the ulama said, the Murji'ah are worse. So some will actually come and say, and the Khawarij is the opposite. You have to implement your religion. You have the idea is you have to implement your religion. You have to pray, you have to fast, you have to be a good person, etc. That's why we said in Oman, where they have that Khariji mentality, the Abadiyah, a lot of people they'll talk very highly of Oman, partly because they've got that mentality where you have to be upright, and for some of them they still have the belief that if you commit a major sin, you're a kafir. So they don't want to commit a major sin, they don't want to oppress, they don't want to steal from anyone. Why? Because they don't want to fall into kufr. So from that particular aspect, the Khawarij are better than the Murji'ah. Where the Khawarij are worse is the dealing with their opponents and the killing and the bloodshed that they cause. Someone disagrees with them, they're very harsh towards them. Very harsh towards them. Even when we talk about the harshness of the Salaf towards Ahlul Bid'ah, again, this is levels, and done with wisdom. There's a purpose. When some of the ulama say, from the Salaf, you don't give salam to a person of Bid'ah. You don't give salam to a person of bid'ah. A person who is upon innovation in aqeedah, etc., you don't give him salam. What's the benefit of it? What's the point of that? The people of Ahlul Sunnah, this person, we want to make him from the outliers. Put him on the boundaries. You don't go to his events, you don't go to his lessons, you don't give him salam, you don't make him feel comfortable. It's called like al-hajar, okay, almost to boycott. This is what one of the punishments was for some of the Sahaba who stayed back from the battle. What did it do? It made the earth, it was as if the earth had swallowed them. Their chest became extremely tight. It was hard for them. When they repented, they became from the best of Muslims. And Allah accepted their repentance. And the Prophet ﷺ was very happy with their repentance. So when this is going to work, or there's a high chance of it working, it's allowed to be implemented. It's allowed to be implemented. But again, it's done through wisdom. It's done through wisdom. Let's say you're in the opposite. Let's say the Aqidah al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah or the Manhaj al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah is weaker. Let's say it's weaker. Would you still apply the same thing? Not necessarily. Why? Because now you need to engage to try and get the people onto your side. You need to try and engage, give them da'wah. Or the Muslims are in a weaker state. The Muslims are in a weak state. There's differences between us. But how do we go about those differences? If you're already weak, you're going to make each other weaker. So yes, I don't need to necessarily say that a person's right or give open lessons with a person. I can say these people are upon that wrong. But how I am in public is that we're one or united. Again, this goes back to the ulama and what they know to be better based on Islamic principles. Masalih, mafasid, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what did the Sharia come with, etc. The Khawarij, they don't have these concepts. They don't have these concepts. For them, opponent, gone. Doesn't matter who it is. Smash him, open, secret, doesn't matter. From the common traits of them, also to kill the person. They have also no problem. They have also no problem. In history, and even until now, a lot of the Khawarij are from the Bedouins. They're from the Bedouins and or from areas where their nature is harsher. Their nature is harsher. So when it comes to dealing with a person, they already lack a lot of manners. They already lack a lot of manners. Go back to the dealing with the Prophet ﷺ from their founder, Abdullah bin Dhul Khawaisira. Firstly, the trait before, he thought bad of the Prophet ﷺ. I'adil ya Muhammad. He automatically assumed the Prophet ﷺ done something bad. Then the way that he done it, in front of everyone, using the name of Muhammad ﷺ by itself, disrespectful. Same thing later on, harsh. When they dealt with Uthman radiallahu anhu, harsh, boycotted him, surrounded him, cut off supplies, besieged him, harsh, went into his house, killed him in his house, harsh. How they were with Ali radiallahu anhu, harsh, giving the khutbah, they're screaming out from different areas of the masjid, harsh in their dealing. When it comes to them killing, again, how they killed Uthman, how they killed Ali, how they killed other companions, harshness. And it wasn't just companions that they killed. Other companions besides the ones that we've mentioned, they've killed other companions, but then also groups and cities of Muslims where they wouldn't have mercy on the people, not even the women and the children. In Islam, we are not allowed to kill women and children. We're not allowed to kill innocent people. Someone's fighting against us, we're allowed to fight against them. If the women and the children are fighting against us, for example, let's say they're actually combatants, or they're actually part of the enemy, this is a different story. Usually they'll get taken as prisoners. Okay? But let's say someone's shooting at you, you can shoot back at them, no problem. Naam. But with the Khawarij, they would go, even people that had nothing to do with the war, nothing to do with fighting them. But because they weren't from amongst them, they would go and they would kill them. Remember, the aqeedah of some of the Khawarij was, if you do not only believe what we believe, but you do not come and join us, then automatically you're a kafir. Remember, we went for some of the groups, and from amongst the main ones was, if you not only sometimes you can believe what someone believes, but for whatever reason you can't do hijrah. And it's happened, subhanAllah, with some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. They were Muslims, but they couldn't do hijrah to Al-Madinah. Now, so even the Prophet ﷺ's companions, the best of the best, sometimes they weren't able to. For some of the Khawarij, not only do you need to believe what we believe, but you have to do hijrah to us. And if you do not, then you are a kafir. If you do not, then you are a kafir. Again, how is that kufr? Allahu alam. But this is, again, the jahal and the arrogance of the Khawarij. They make their own rules and then they Force you upon it. Again, just like some groups done in previous years. They make their own rules and they force you to do it. So they would go to areas and they would absolutely wipe out the people. Men, women, children, killed. Even though they're Muslims, even though they say La ilaha illallah, even though they pray, even though they're masajid, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. There are many narrations and stories of any people that would say to them, like women for example, we haven't committed sin, we haven't committed major sin, we are reciters of the Quran, and we're good people. With what right do you kill us? And then they'll kill her anyway. There was no mercy. Okay, no mercy. So they would do things that the enemies of Islam would do. Allah musta'an. Either Bedouins or from areas that are harsher. If you look at the main makeup of a lot of the Khawarij, you'll find the same thing. Okay, made up of Bedouins or made up of people that are from areas and cities and villages where they have a harder mentality, harsher mentality. When it comes to a person being hard-headed or stubborn, any other trait, like merciful and kind, etc., generous, there's jibilli, how a person was created. That's how a person was created. And then there's muktasab, what a person works on. So sometimes you may be in your nature more hard-headed than others. Sometimes in your nature, you might be more hard-headed than others. Where are you from in Lebanon? Where are you from, Tommy? Is that next to, yeah, okay. So, yeah, so let's just say Lebanon, okay? Let's just say Lebanon. Forget, I don't want anyone to call me a racist, a nationalist or tribalist. I'm just giving examples. You may have some areas in Lebanon where they're more known regarding their hard-headedness. Okay? So for example, some might say about Akkar. People in Akkar, very hard-headed. Some may say that. Then you go a little bit more up when it comes to Sirah Diniyya. And they'll say, those guys put the Akkariya in their pockets. Okay, from the hard-headedness. I'm not saying it, I'm saying what people say. Let's say a person is like that. Let's say they're from those areas and the trait of those people is that they're more hard-headed and they're more stubborn than others. You don't just accept it. You don't just say, "Khalas, I'm stubborn, it is what it is how I am. To me, black is black and white is white. I got no grey, I got no middle area." No, if you're like that in your nature, now you need to do this jibilli. You need to now go for the muktasab. You need to now work on softening yourself. You need to work on being more patient. You need to work on being more understanding, being more empathetic, etc. You can't just say, "Khalas, this is how I am, you like it, you don't like it, ka'ish." Can't be like that. And the Turks put the levers in their pocket when it comes to hard-headed. Some of them, maybe not all of them, but some of them. Okay? Again, a person can't just say, "Ami, this is how I am." No, you got to work on it. Once you accept the bad nature that a person may have, then now you're making excuses for things that Allah didn't give you an excuse for. And you're going to get held accountable. The exact same thing with going, for example, shyness. Someone might be born shy, he's very shy, very humble, very quiet. Does that mean that you shouldn't speak the truth? No, you got to speak the truth. Or you shouldn't teach, or you shouldn't get married, etc. You have to work on that. You can't just say, "You're shy, I'm going to say my whole life, I'm never going to get married." You need to work on building your confidence. Okay, so everyone's born with a different test. Everyone's born with a different test. One of the things with the Khawarij is they accepted that harshness that they had when they were from those different areas. This is our nature, this is how we are, and they went with it. And not only that, people were attracted to their way because of it. And same thing today. Okay, people are attracted to those sorts of things. Some people that want to be more lenient. They're more lenient, they'll go to a masjid on purpose because the Shaykh is more lenient. He's not, everything's halal with that Shaykh. Music's halal, everything's halal with that Shaykh. Okay, I'm going to get to that Shaykh. No, you can't just accept the Shaykh because he's in line with what you want. Same thing with a person who's maybe a little bit more violent or a bit more extreme or hard-headed. You can't say, "You know what, I like these people because they're like that. They just talk and they go off and they scream and stuff." No. You have to go with the truth and you have to force yourself to accept it and to implement. So that sixth trait is their harshness of others and their killing of their opponents. Even again, subhanAllah, nowadays, some famous mashayikh and famous ulama, if they travel the world, subhanAllah, they try and get assassinated. People try and assassinate them. Okay, people try and assassinate them from this. that group that we've mentioned a few times, I don't want to keep mentioning their name, of recent years, that was out. Sometimes the Shaykh, one of them, for example, was in the Philippines. In the Philippines. This Shaykh, he's got a lot of good and he's got some bad. He's got some bad. Disagree with the bad that they have. But does that mean that it's justified to kill him? Wow, where did you get that from? That it's justified to kill someone. The blood of the Muslim is something big. And if the whole world was to be destroyed, if the Kaaba was to be destroyed, it's less of a problem than if the drop of the Muslim's blood was spilled unjustly, as came in some narrations. The Prophet ﷺ said, all of the Muslim upon the Muslim is haram. All of the Muslim upon the Muslim is haram. His wealth, his blood, his wealth, and his honor. You're not allowed to talk bad about a Muslim. You can't tease a Muslim. Even if something's true but it upsets him, you're not allowed to tease him. If something's true but it upsets him, you're not allowed to tease him. You're not allowed to say it to him. You're not allowed to say it to other people. The honor of the Muslim is something extremely high. You're not allowed to, for example, imagine how bad zina is with a Muslimah. Imagine on top of that, raping ayadhan billah a Muslimah. Imagine on top of that, killing. If raping is worse than fornication, imagine how bad it is. What about if a person kills that person? What about if a person kills that person? If you're not allowed to steal from a Muslim, you're not allowed to speak against him, you're not allowed to steal from him, you're not allowed to physically harm him, imagine killing him. Imagine how bad that is. But they make it easy. They make it easy. And other places around the world. Some of the people that they used to call the Mashaykh of Jihad. Some of the people that they used to call the Mashaykh of Jihad. When they went against them in recent times, these extremists, they went against the extremists. They didn't leave the matter of jihad, etc. But they went against these extremist groups and their wrong understanding. Those Mashaykh and those ulama said, our whole lives, we've had issues with the governments. Our whole lives. Never were we more concerned about being killed than we are now with these guys. Before we knew, we're always under surveillance, we're always getting visited, we're always getting locked up. No problem. Come locked up. After a period of time, okay, we'll get hit or whatever, but then we get free. Never did we actually think that we're going to get assassinated or killed more than we are now. And they had to take certain measures regarding their houses and their cars and their outings, etc. for them, inshallah, to be protected. How sad. How sad that for you to be with the enemies of Allah, in the open enemies of Allah, it is what it is. But these people, you're actually concerned about being killed. And they claim to be fearful of Allah and mindful of Allah and worshippers of Allah. But it shows you, again, their lack of respect for the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these matters.